Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Whisky Wismar. My name is Christopher, and today we want to have a look at Glendronach 18 years Allardice. Everybody's darling, beloved around the world, and one of the most well-known brands, of course, in today's whiskey market, renowned for the heavily sherried whiskies, and this is no exception. 18 years old, 46% ABV, non-chill filtered, and of course natural color. The thing about the age though is that Glendronach was closed between 1996 and 2002, mothballed, and so they didn't produce anything, didn't fill any new casks. But if you want to have an 18-year-old whiskey, of course you can't just take younger ones and write the 18 on it. This is the one true rule that I guess no Scottish distiller will ever break, hopefully. But you can use older stock, and this is what they did for a long time for instance, the 12-year-old, the 15-year-old, or this one. So bottled 6th of January 2016. And if you do the math, this would mean that this whiskey is in fact at least 20 years old. So quite astounding really, considering the still very affordable price, competitively priced segment this is located in, so between 65 to 85 euros depending on where you are, and certainly one of the best values for money when it comes to sherried whiskey today, at least. So bottle is almost empty, so I already have a new one ready to be opened, as this is really something I always try to have available for drinking. So the aforementioned issue with the age and the stock that they have available to them was a pretty big deal. Then now in recent years, relating to the 15-year-old revival, and sold in this green tin, as in 2015 this whiskey would have been also much older, considering the stock from before the closing would then be at least 19 years old. So this is why they stopped producing it and only reissued sort of the revival in September of this year, 2018, and now selectively hit certain stores around the globe, this is what eventually will happen to the Allardice as well as the Glendronach 21 Parliament, what to some degree also happened to the 12-year-old, the original, which in 2013 would have been 16-17 years old as well. But since 2014 they were actually legally able to have proper 12-year-old again, with the stock that they then started to produce and to fill into cask starting in 2002. But now coming back here to this one, Glendronach 18-year-old Allardice, named after the illustrious founder of Glendronach. Can certainly talk a lot about him, about his endeavors to market his whiskey, but today we want to have a look at the whiskey that has his name on the label. So for the nose, just a beautifully interwoven sherry profile, lots of dates, prunes, figs. Like if you add an orange peel, then mix it all up and then turn it into a sauce, and then douse it over Christmas cake. This is what it smells like. Quite chocolatey as well, and what I always get with older whiskies is sort of, particularly I guess when it was partly or fully matured in European oak, is sort of an oaky sourness. This is, for me at least, always a good indicator for the age of a whiskey. For well matured malt whiskey. yeah, then you add in a little bit of herbal components, cough drops, and caramel. And the underlying profile is really quite characteristic for Glendronach, as far as I'm concerned at least. It's this cinnamon-rich, raisiny, honeyed note, then intermingled with lots and lots of oak and sweetness. I hardly ever had a really dry Glendronach, I must say. They're always on the sweeter side of things. So you have. So nice. Very creamy, sweet at first, but then drying, the tannins take hold, and then it's like a big sort of crescendo of raisiny, of raisiny goodness. Once again, this Christmas characteristic. Herbal notes on the palate as well. So like drinking over stewed or tea that was brewed a little too long. And also vanilla. So a touch of vanilla on the palate. And on the nose it was more on sort of toffee caramel side, but on the palate it's more caramel and vanilla. So a little lighter, a little more floral. On the nose, something that maybe some of you do, depending on how you nose your whiskies, is not just nose it with either side, with either hole in your nose, but also a very long sort of, take very long sniffs, very gentle sniffs, and this is then what I found to reveal sometimes more and heavier aromas as well. It's like you're in a sawmill and you have all the sawdust in the air, but it's intermingled or it's accompanied by lots of lavender in the air, so a little perfumey note. Just great. So for the finish, it's medium to long finish. Lots of tannins, of course, sweetness at first, once again, but then as it goes down, it fades into sort of these herbal tea notes, honey, caramel, and more raisins. This is where it differed quite distinctly from the 15-year-old revival, the old one, is that it's more on the gentler side. It was always considered to be the smoother of the two drams, and Glendronach or the 15-year-old revival had more impact, more oak and more spiciness. But considering that this was matured in Oloroso sherry casks as well, makes you wonder how they achieved that. So I had one before, an Allardice in 2013, so considerably younger. If you think the age charts that you find are correct, and it was pretty similar, but once again had less punch and less longevity than the revival, and but it's really almost on the same level. So just the revival had a bigger sort of breadth of flavors and aromas, and the Allardice is more sort of a gentle, more on the gentler side. And this is what you still find here in this bottling from 2016, which you can still get, or at least bottlings from 2016 if you check online. So Whisky Bay is a good place to start. But the Dutch folks, our neighbors, they get particularly good deals on Glendronach, so be sure to check out their websites and online shops. Yes, so what can I say? Just great whiskey. As I said, I already have a new bottle waiting for me, and now what's left to me for me is to score it. So as you know, you have my scoring chart. So this even exceeds the excellent 90 points that I would consider sort of benchmark whiskies for gauging for gauging the really excellency, the excellence of certain brands or distilleries. And as I said, to exceeding that, whiskies have to offer something more. This is what I find here, and as a result, I would mark this 91. So yeah, amazing whiskey, absolutely great value for money in today's whiskey prices, and highly recommended. So if you've never tried it and you like sherried whiskey, you can basically buy a bottle without trying it beforehand. So yeah, highly recommended, and I'll look forward to what Glendronach will have to offer. I have many more Glendronach reviews planned, but I wanted to start with this as this is now such a benchmark when it comes to their standard range, at least. So I'll just finish this in a moment, but for now, thanks a lot for listening and watching this. If you have any feedback, let me know. If you had Glendronachs before that you particularly liked, or maybe you didn't like the Allardice, then let me know why. And yeah, then all I can say is see you next time, and bye bye.